بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكن خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعد الظن إثم ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه واتقوا الله إن الله تواب رحيم. صدق الله العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you who claim to have Iman, لا يسخر قوم من قوم, no man should mock another man. عسى, perhaps, أن يكونوا خيرا منهم, the one who is being mocked or being made fun of is better than the one who is mocking him. ولا نساء من نساء, and neither should women mock or make fun of other women. عسى أن يكن خيرا منهن, it's very much possible that those women who are being mocked and made fun of are much better than the ones who are making fun of them, the ones who are mocking them. ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم, and do never find faults in one another, in each other. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ, and do not call each other, defame each other with offensive and insulting names. بِئْسَ الْإِسْمُ الْفُسُوقُ بَعْدَ الْإِيمَانِ, how evil it is to call an evil name بعد الإيمان, after having accepted Iman. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَتُبْ, and whoever does not do tawbah from these evil qualities, فَأُولَٰئِكَ, such people, هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ, they are oppressing themselves. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, O you who have Iman, اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ, refrain from excessive negative assumptions. إِنَّ بَعْدَ الظَّنِّ, verily some assumptions, إِثْمٌ, they are sinful. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا, do not spy on one another. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا, and do not backbite one another. أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ, does one of you love أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا, that he eats the flesh of his brother while he is dead, from the dead body of his brother. فَكَرِهْتُمُوا, you would have despised it. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, fear Allah from these sins. إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَوَّابٌ رَحِيمٌ, verily Allah is Tawwab, the one who accepts Tawbah, Rahim, the most merciful. My dear respected brothers, elders, sisters and mothers, last week we discussed the topic of brotherhood in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in this verse that I recited that believers are nothing but brothers. And Allah has used the word ikhwa. Ikhwa is used for blood brothers. Who are your blood brothers? To show us that we should be united, we should be bonded to one another the way blood brothers are onto one another. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has given a beautiful example of the Muslim ummah and has compared it to a body by saying that مَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي تَوَادِّهِمْ وَتَرَاحِمِهِمْ وَتَوَاصُلِهِمْ كَمَثَلِ الْجَسَدِ الْوَاحِدِ. That the example of the mu'mineen, those people who have iman in their hearts, in their love, in their mercy to one another, وَتَوَاصُلِهِمْ, and in their connection and bond to one another, is the example of like a body, one body. إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عُضْوٌ, if one limb is in pain, تَدَاعَى لَهُ سَائِرُ الْجَسَدِ بِالْحُمَّى وَالسَّهَرِ, then if your head is hurting, the entire body is awake. The entire body is in pain. Why? Because of one limb is hurting. Your tooth has an ache, entire body is awake. Your nail has broken, the entire body is awake. Even if someone, has a small paper cut or a small cut, for example, he feels it in the entire body. He's not such that he has a headache, but he's sleeping with comfort. So even if one Muslim brother, one Muslim sister is going through suffering, is going through pain, is in need, the entire community is worried about that one brother, that one sister. The entire ummah from the east to the west is worried about that country, is worried about that city that has been inflicted, that is going through struggles and troubling times. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. So whenever disputes and arguments and fights happen between the Muslim community, try to reconcile. It's not enough. Today, subhanAllah, we have so much to cover. I see very few brothers who are writing. You will notice by the end of this dars how much you have remembered and how much you have not. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah, he used to say, when he would see his students writing, he used to say, هَذِهِ سُرُجُ الْإِسْلَامِ, that these pens are the lanterns of Islam, that through what they are writing, they will enlighten the entire world. So, just as a side note, whenever we attend a lecture, whenever we attend any sort of talk, make a habit of a pen, a small notepad. Alhamdulillah, throughout my studies, hundreds of scholars, alhamdulillah, I got the chance to sit in front of them and listen to them. Rarely did I not have a pen or some notepad in my pocket. So as long as the Muslim ummah is connected to their pen and their papers and the ilm and the tools of knowledge, they, inshaAllah ta'ala, they will be connected and they will be flourishing, inshaAllah ta'ala. Getting back to the topic, that reconciling is not enough to just bring two parties, conflicting parties on one page and just say, okay, don't fight again and leave them. It's not enough to bring two siblings, two families, two relatives, a couple, if they're going through disputes, and say, do not fight again, and that's it. That's not reconciling, that's not sulh. Sulh is when you discover and find out what is the problem, what is the issue, and try to resolve that issue so it does not happen again. That is the true right of reconciliation between two parties. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the Muslim community in their social etiquettes when they are socializing, when they are intermingling. Before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He taught us about the etiquette that we should have with Allah and the etiquette we should have with His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now He is addressing the Muslim men and Muslim women about the etiquettes we should have when we socialize with one another. And in these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about 6 qualities. 6 evil qualities that we have to stay as far as we can from these qualities. Because these 6 qualities are detrimental for any family, any community, any Muslim country, any Muslim body. If they have these 6 evil qualities within them, then they will disintegrate. They will not last for too long. 3 of these qualities Allah has told us about when we are present, when we are facing one another, when we are talking to one another. 3 of these qualities, they're related to when we are behind each other's backs, when we are in our homes, when we are in our rooms. 3 etiquettes related to that. So 3 when we are present with one another, sitting with one another, socializing at a party, at a dawat, in the masjid, at Eid Salah, Jummah. And 3 when we are in the privacy of our homes, when we are not socializing with one another. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin asa. The first evil quality, the first evil social trait. That, O you who believe, let not mock. Qawmun, over here qawm, it means a group of men or men in general. Let not men mock another group of men. Asa, perhaps they may be better than them. The one who you are making fun of, he may be better than you in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The word used here is yaskhar. Sukhriya is making fun. And mazah in Urdu and both Arabic is also to crack a joke. But there's a difference. Sukhriya, yaskhar, is when you make a joke to ridicule someone, to mock someone, whether it's on their physical trait, the face, the color of their skin, their stature, the way they walk, the way they talk. Mazah is when you have a light-hearted joke to uplift the mood, to make people... questions will be at them. Jazakumullah khairan. Sorry to interrupt. Inshallah, remember your question, do not forget. All questions are very important. Mazah is when you have a light-hearted joke to uplift the mood of people. So Allah is saying, do not mock one another. It's very much likely that the one who you are mocking is better than you. Right? And then, وَلَا نِسَاءٌ مِّن نِسَاءٍ. Neither women should mock other women. عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُنَّ خَيْرًا مِّنْهُنْ. It's very much possible that the women who are being made fun of are better than the one who are making fun of them. Why do people make fun of one another? Why do we mock one another? It's because there is arrogance in the heart. You see yourself high in status, due to your race, due to your status and wealth, in your social influence in the society, due to your physical strength, you make fun of other people. Inshallah, I'll get to some statistics that I want to share, very, very interesting. But before that, I'll just go ahead and share it just to kind of make you aware. In our school places, in our work environments, the amount of bullying that takes place is unimaginable. As a teacher, the amount of bullying I see in Islamic schools, in those setups, it's unimaginable. It said that about 30% of adults, they suffer from bullying in their workplaces. This is a statistic of 2021. And about for kids who go to school, about 40%. And it's said about them that one of the biggest reasons, one of the biggest means of how others are bullied, right? One of the biggest ways how kids bully other kids, or adults or teenagers bully others, is that they make fun of them. These are statistics. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has listed this as number 1 in the ayah. Make fun of them, their color, the shape, the way they walk, the way they look, the way they dress. The second type is calling names. It's mentioned here. Right? Number 2 on the list is number 3 on the list is calling names. The third type of bullying that happens in those workplaces and schools is insulting. Calling each other with insulting names is mentioned here in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands our psyche. He knows how we act. He knows how we are. That's why He addressed them. And surprisingly, I found them on the top of the list when I checked the statistics. SubhanAllah. And do you know why bullying happens? Why the one who misbehaves, shows this aggression, makes fun of others, do you know why he or she does it? In the school places, in the workplaces, in the public environment. Why? 50% of people who bully others is because they have more social influence. They think they're better. I can influence everybody. Everybody listens to me. I have the most likes, the most followers. Everyone wants to dress like me. They want to drive the same car. They want to look like me. 40% of people who bully others is because of their physical strength. They think they're better because they're stronger. 30% of people who bully others is because they have more money than others. You have more money, more cash. Your wallet is full. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed the main cause of why people ridicule, mock one another. Is you don't know the one who you are making fun of, who you're mocking, who you're ridiculing is better in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than you. And these schools, these public places, they have no way of preventing this. It's written on the government website. You can check this. I'm not making this up. Many people think that Maulvis just make up these things, No, you can go check this. There is no federal law that directly addresses bullying and these types of behaviors. They cannot control it. Because their society has no accountability. My school, when I was in high school, they spent about $5,000 to invite one speaker for less than an hour to give a speech to the entire school body of why bullying is harmful. I kid you not. A day later, the kids were back to bullying. It was exactly the same way how it was before. Why? Because this Western culture has no accountability. They have no concept of akhirah. They stop at the limit of it's not moral. That's it. You can't bully others because it's not good. You cannot hurt others because it's not good. But Islam takes it a step further. Their legislations, their laws, their constitution can only limit people to a certain extent. After that, they cannot control their private lives. They cannot go into their homes and see whether they're lying, whether they're backbiting, whether they're mocking, whether they're racists, whether do they have the germs of racism in them or not. They cannot control that. But Islam takes it a step further to nurture mankind to reach the peaks of perfection. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and hear how he addresses it. One time Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhu was standing on Marwa, Safa Marwa in Makkah Mukarramah. Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhu came to him and he told him a hadith. And he left. Abdullah bin Umar sat down and he started to cry. So a man came and he said, Ma yubkika ya Aba Abdul Rahman, his nickname. So why are you crying, O Umar, son of Umar radiyallahu anhu? He said, because I heard a hadith from this Sahabi who just told me that there isn't a single person وَفِي قَلْبِهِ مِثْقَالُ حَبَّةٍ مِّنْ خَرْدَلٍ مِّنْ كِبْرٍ أَكَبَّهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَى وَجْهِهِ فِي النَّارِ. There isn't a person who has a particle, atom worth weight of kibr, arrogance in his heart, better than others. My race, my color, my status, my wealth, my home, the way I speak, the way that I talk, the way I dress. Who can match my level? An atom worth of weight in this heart, Allah will throw him first on his face into the hellfire. Look how Islam takes it a step further. This constitution, this country, this culture, they cannot offer you this to your children, to your generation. This type of tarbiyah. So لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم. No one should mock another, make fun of another person, the way they look, the way they talk, the way they dress, the accent, the car that they drive, the home that they live in. No. It's perhaps they are much higher in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than you. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. The second evil quality is that do not find faults in one another. Do not find faults in one another. Oh, his nose is so big, his teeth are crooked, he's bald, he walks limpid, or look at his stomach. These are common things we discuss in our gatherings. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا. Lams is the second quality, is to mention faults of people. And Allah has used the word أَنفُسَكُمْ. Literal translation would be, do not find faults in your own self. But we translated that do not find faults in each other. It means that it amounts to that when you make fun of another person, when you find fault in another person, you're actually describing who you are in reality. You are making fun of your own self. And people will eventually start making fun of you if you make fun of others, or you find fault in others. Right? And it's not too far-fetched. How many times have we experienced this? That when we laugh on another person, when we make fun of another person, that very thing comes in front of us in our lives. We made fun of someone the way they walked. Few years down the road in your life, you're walking like them. You made fun of a person in the home that he lives in. Maybe a few years down the road, you're living in a home worse than that. You made fun of someone's car. It's not very far-fetched, your car breaks down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do justice. That's why Allah used the word anfusakum, that it's going to come back to you. Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, after he heard these verses, he said, I do not even like to laugh at a dog out of mockery. Perhaps Allah may transform me into this dog. This is how Sahaba became so careful after hearing these verses. So making fun of people's appearances, again, pinpointing faults in them. The third evil quality is وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. And do not call each other offensive names. When this verse was revealed, the story behind it is that Abu Jubaira radiyallahu anhu, he says that when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam arrived to Medina Munawwara, وَلَيْسَ فِينَا رَجُلٌ إِلَّا وَلَهُ إِسْمَانْ أَوْ ثَلَاثًا. That when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam arrived to Medina Munawwara, there was not a single man in Medina except he had more than one name, 2 or 3 names. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not know that. So unintentionally he would call people with those names and they would get offended. So the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum told him that these titles or these evil names that people have given them, they're not their actual names. So then this verse was revealed, that do not call each other with offensive names. This country, this culture has a history of that. They have not only, just kept it to individuals, but this evil quality has grown into races. Every race has a name and offensive title that they have kept for them. I don't even want to name them. Every race they have made a name for them. And our children, our youth, they use them in their slang. They use them in their street language. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Do not call each other with offensive names. And Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu has said, this actually means that if person was a smoker, he did tawbah from that. If someone, al-iyadu billah, used to do adultery, he did tawbah from that. Al-iyadu billah, someone used to go and hang out in the wrong company, and then he did tawbah from that. You as a brother, you as a sister, you as a father, as a community, know he did tawbah from that. But when the arguments get heated, when a fight happens in FCU, is that what it's called? UFC, sorry, not to do these things. So when these fights happen, the boxers, they look for the weak spot. If they know he has a pain in his ankle, they're going to try to kick him in the ankle so he falls. KO, first round, he's done. So when the arguments heat up between husband and a wife, what do we start to do? We go to the most vulnerable part of their life from the past and bring that and call them that name. You used to be this. Or your family was this. We shatter their emotions, shatter them. Hit them at the most vulnerable part. And then it turns into a violent situation. So when you're in an argument, make sure you're not tempted to call the other person with the name they'll get most offended. Because you're angry and you want to anger and offend this person. You want to, just press them, push them down. Do not call them with offensive names in that moment. Because if you do that, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make sure that He makes you inflicted with that quality. You also become a victim of that sin. And then you become embarrassed in front of the whole society. Someone is a smoker, they did tawbah. In front of everybody you call them, hey, you're a smoker. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-iyadu billah, He can make you into a smoker a few months down the road. And then you'll be embarrassed in front of your own children, in front of your community. بِئْسَ الْإِسْمُ الْفُسُوقُ بَعْدَ الْإِيمَانِ. After these three qualities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, how evil it is to call each other with such titles, with such evil names. And my dear brothers and sisters, we look at each other's faults, each other's negative qualities. The husband, he only sees the evil traits of his wife. The wife only sees the negative qualities of her husband. The siblings, they only see that which is evil with one another. And as for the good, it disappears from our eyes. And we magnify that evil. Like magnified. Whereas Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would see one good quality in a person, he would magnify it. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhu would forget about the evil qualities of that person. There's one goodness in that person, 99 evil qualities. We should highlight that one goodness. Whereas our temperament is, if there's one evil quality, 99 goodness in him, we highlight that evil quality. We go after that person to make sure that the entire community knows that this person, he is such and such, so and so, and he's like this. And what did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? طُوبَى لِمَنْ شَغَلَهُ عُيُوبُهُ. Glad tidings for that person who has become busied with his own faults, imperfections. From the imperfections of people, he is so worried about his own self that he's forgotten about the imperfections of people. Glad tidings for that person. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, make my eyes blind from the imperfections of seeing from the imperfections of people. And oh Allah, open my eyes to see the faults in myself. Make this dua. And when you will see your own faults, you will forget that there is anyone evil in the world. Because you will see so much within yourself that needs to be fixed. Moving on to the next verse, guys, we have a lot to cover. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. O you who believe, ijtanibu kathiran min adh-dhann. Refrain from excessive assumption. Ijtanibu is the word refrain. It comes from the word janib. Janib in the Arabic language, it means, for example, a wall or a side. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if for example this wall was to be false assumptions, then you should be on the other side of the room. That wherever you find the evil quality of assuming about people, you should be the farthest away from that. Ijtanibu, stay far away from excessive assumption. What is assumption, my dear brothers? I really want to mention this, as I think this should be the main topic of today's session. Dhann, hajis, khatir. A thought will enter your heart and it will leave. That is called a hajis in the Arabic language. A thought will enter your heart, your mind, you're working, you're doing something, an evil thought enter your mind and heart about your sister, about your brother, about your spouse. about the community member, and then you start to think about it, dwell on that thought. That is called dhann. That is called dhann. The Sahaba radiallahu anhu, once they came to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is very important. I have not heard this in any talk. I've only heard this from my teachers. And if we understand this, it will help you understand how the shaitan attacks us. And you will know when you're under attack. And you will also know how to escape from that attack. Sahaba radiallahu anhu came to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and they told him that we find within our hearts such thoughts that we rather turn to dust than bring them on our tongues. We find such evil thoughts in our hearts at times about Allah, about you, about the Muslim community, that we rather turn to dirt than bring it on our tongues. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, you really find that in your heart? Yes. ذَاكَ صَرِيحُ الْإِيمَانِ. That is a sign of your Iman, that your heart encompasses the light of Iman. Shaitan will not enter a home in which there is nothing. The robbers will not rob a home which is empty. Similarly, the shaitan will not attack that heart which is empty from Iman. It goes after the people of Iman. And it starts with a thought. It starts with a negative thought. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah has said that the shaitan, he has become absolutely hopeless from making the people of Iman misguided and leaving the fold of Islam. He knows he cannot do that overnight. It's too difficult. He will not even put that waswasa in 99% of us in our hearts that leave Islam. Can't even fathom that. But when he knows he cannot do that, فَيَنْكَدُّ عَلَيْهِ بِالْوَسْوَسَةِ لِعَجْزِهِ عَنِ الْإِغْوَائِهِ. So then he continues to bombard his heart with negative thoughts. What type of negative thoughts? Shah Waliullah Dehlawi rahimahullah has mentioned that the pinnacle of the effect of the waswasa, the whispering of the shaitan in the heart of a person, the peak of that is that he will make you leave the fold of Islam. Every atheist, if you sit down with them, you ask them, where did it all begin? Any Muslim, majority of them will tell you, we were sitting one day and a thought came to my mind about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about Islam, about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we started to dwell on that, and more doubts enter our heart until we came to a firm conviction that this deen is a fake. It begins with the thought, even with them. But with Muslims, what does the shaitan do? When he knows he cannot make them leave the fold of Islam, so then he starts to whisper them. And the end result of that is وَهِيَ الْمُقَاتِلَاتِ, fights. وَفَسَادُ تَدْبِيرِ الْمَنْزِلِ, disturbance in the house, in the family, وَالتَّحْرِيشِ, and disputes and fights. And when a person, he controls himself from even these evil thoughts, then the shaitan leaves. Then it's just a thought that will enter and leave the other one. Jabir radiallahu anhu has said that Inna Iblis, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned this hadith. Today's topic is a little bit long, so please hang in with me. I need your attention. This is a very important topic. We face this, deal with this on a daily basis. And majority of do not understand what is going on with us. Jabir radiallahu anhu mentioned in a hadith that Inna Iblis yada'u arshahu ala al-ma. Every night, Iblis, he places a throne on the water, on the ocean somewhere. And he gathers all his minions and shayateen, his entire kingdom in front of him. ثُمَّ يَبْعَثُ سَرَايَاهُ فِي النَّاسِ يَفْتِنُونَ النَّاسِ. He sends out armies of shayateen to attack. يَفْتِنُونَ النَّاسِ. First, go attack the Muslims. Starting with the ulama, the pious, the people, sulaha, and then the awam, the common public, and then the rest of mankind. The first target is the Muslim ummah. So when he gathers all of these shayateen, أَدْنَاهُمْ مِنْهُ مَنْزِلَةً أَعْظَمُهُمْ فِتْنَةً, the closest minion to him, the closest shaitan to him, is the one who causes the mass chaos in the world. So he will call one of them one by one, and he will come and say, فَعَلْتُ كَذَا وَكَذَا. He'll give a report. He'll say, today I made this person drink wine. Today I made this person commit adultery. Today I made this person rob. You know what the shaitan tells him? مَا فَعَلْتَ شَيْءٍ. دَفَوْجَ. Get out of here, get lost. You didn't do anything. Another shaitan comes, he says, مَا تَرَكْتُ رَجُلًا حَتَّى فَرَّقْتُ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ امْرَأَتِي. He says, I continue to put waswasa, continue to put thoughts of evil and hate and negative assumptions in the heart of this man about his wife, or in the heart of the wife about his man, until I cause separation between them. You know what the shaitan does? He says, you are the one. And then Amish, the muhaddith, he says, the shaitan, he gets up and then he says, come here. And then he hugs him. He says, you are the closest one to me, because you cause separation between a husband and a wife. This is happening between families, between couples, between siblings, between Muslim communities. This is not happening to the non-Muslims. He knows they're going to hell. He doesn't have to make extra effort. He just has to blow. It's like a feather and they're going in the wrong direction. He doesn't even have to push. For us, he has to instill us with evil thoughts day in and day out. So we have to be aware. So when you get an evil thought about a brother, about a sister, about your family member, you are actually getting rewarded as long as you do not act upon it, as long as you do not say it. And a beautiful example of that, Hakim Akhtar rahimahullah gave, that we all carry filth inside of us. Before we use the bathroom, we're carrying filth inside of us. But we're clean. People hug us, they meet us, they shake hands with us. But the moment that filth, it exits the body, then you say, wow, okay, then you stay away from that. Then you know, the presence is there of that filth. But as long as you keep it inside, it's not observable. Similarly, if you have evil thoughts about somebody, it does not mean now I have to let them out. Now I have to speak it out. Now I have to act upon them. Actually, you are being rewarded by controlling those thoughts. And then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you're being overwhelmed with those thoughts to clean your heart. So the first thing that you can do about evil assumption is that read your morning and evening du'as. Your last 3 quls, Ayatul Kursi, Suratul Fatiha, blow it on your hands. It's sunnah, it's mentioned in Bukhari. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would blow it on his hands and then pass his blessed hands over his head, on his body till his legs. This will protect you from the whisperings of shaitan. Second thing is, when your heart is overwhelmed with negative thoughts, what you have to do is that ask Allah to clean your heart. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to clean your heart. Go to that brother, say salam. Go to your spouse, have a talk, cool down, and you will find out it was really not that bad as you had thought about it. Go to your sibling, sit down with them and say, I'm feeling like this, and I know this is not the right way I should be feeling, and I know this is from the shaitan, and that's why I have come to you so that I may clear my heart. And you will see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will clean your heart. Instead of carrying those thoughts around, and then next thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions is backbiting and spying on people. One time Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was doing tawaf, I know we're short on time, and Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhu, he saw Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Hijjatul Wida, in the last Hajj. He says, as he was doing tawaf, I saw him say these words. Imagine that moment. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is doing tawaf. You have the Kaaba in front of you. Like, you're overwhelmed by that view when you go to see the Kaaba. You're in awe. And when he saw not just the Kaaba, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what is he saying? He says, "Ma atyabaki wa atyaba rihak." How pleasant is your fragrance, and how pleasant are you, O Kaaba. Ma a'zamak wa ma a'zama hurmatak. How great are you, and how great is your sanctity. Then he says, "Walladhi nafsu Muhammadin biyadi." I swear by Allah, in whose hands is my life. لَحُرْمَةُ الْمُؤْمِنِ. The sanctity, the respect and the honor of a mu'min, أَعْظَمُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ حُرْمَةً مِنْكَ, is greater in the eyes of Allah than you, O Kaaba. وَأَنْ يَظُنَّ بِهِ إِلَّا خَيْرًا. And that only good should be assumed about the believers. Subhanallah. So, O you who believe, refrain from excessive assumption and watch your thoughts, my dear brothers and sisters. Throughout the day, have a filter. As soon as you get a negative thought, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, it's gone. As soon as you have a negative thought, you read your du'as, it's gone. Shaitan will not bother you. The moment you dwell on that, he's going to keep on coming and he's going to keep on attacking, because now he knows you are starting to dwell on that thought. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ. That, some assumptions, they're very sinful. So stay away from them. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not spy on one another. Do not unnecessarily check people's phones. Look into their screens. Hey, what is he watching? You're on the airplane, you're on the bus. Oh, let me see what he's... No. Do not unnecessarily pry into people's private lives and matters. You're a father, for example, son got married, your mother, your daughter got married. Unnecessarily you will ask around, what's going on in their home. Ask your daughter, what goes on in there. It's not your business, don't. People's private lives, وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not pry into those private matters. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ever did that. He never went walking around Medina Munawwara and put his ears on the walls of the houses of Sahaba. Are they praying? What are they talking about? What's going on? Never ever. Do not pry into the lives of people, into their private matters. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. It also means if you're sleeping, two people are talking, it's your responsibility. Tell them, brothers, I'm not sleeping, I'm actually awake. Don't talk about your private matters. And over there you're asleep and mashallah, A to Z, the whole conversation, then you wake up. Yeah, it's time for Zuhr, I need to wake up. It's time for Fajr, No, tell them, I'm not asleep. Please, take your conversation somewhere else. If you don't, and if you listen to people, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah will pour melted brass into the ear of that person on the day of Qiyamah. Then, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Do not backbite one another. Ghiba is when you mention an evil quality about your brother that he dislikes. Ifk is when you mention something that was conveyed to you. You are not sure whether this is true or not, and you start conveying it to others. In today's time and age, WhatsApp messages, social media, ifk. In the story of Aisha radiallahu anha, Sahaba radiallahu anhum, how did it spread? One person heard it, without verifying, passed it on to the other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been upset more in the Quran, in any other place than that story of ifk. He was so upset that how could you do that? You hear about a Muslim brother and sister, assume good, don't pass it on. Ifk. Third type of ghiba is buhtan. Something doesn't even exist in him. You just have made an assumption and you start speaking about him. Over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ. Do not backbite one another. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he went on the journey of Mi'raj, he passed by a people whom he saw in hellfire. لَمَّا مَرَرْتُ بِقَوْمٍ لَهُمْ أَغْفَارٌ مِّن نُحَاسٍ. They had copper nails, long copper nails. يَخْمِشُونَ وُجُوهَهُمْ وَصُدُورَهُمْ. They were violently scratching their faces and their chests. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Jibreel alayhi salam, who are these people? Jibreel alayhi salam said, these are the people who used to eat from the flesh of their brothers and sisters. Al-iyadu billah. And one time Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was in a journey and he heard two men backbiting another man. So he didn't say anything. It's good to not stop people when they're doing something evil immediately on the spot. If you see your children or someone in the public doing something, don't embarrass them right away. Wait. Just, don't call them out. So he didn't call them out. He waited. He traveled a bit forth, And then he said, "Where are these two people?" He called them. He saw a dead mule. That's why he stopped. A dead body of a dead donkey. He said, "Get down and eat from this." They said, "How can this be eaten? هل يؤكل هذا? How can this be eaten?" He said, فَمَا نِلْتُمَا مِنْ أَخِيكُمَا آنِفًا أَشَدًّا أَكْلًا مِنْ هَذَا. He said, what you spoke about your brothers is worst than eating this body of a dead mule and donkey. This is how he taught them. What is ghiba, my dear brothers and sisters? You start speaking about a person and all of a sudden you say one sentence. Well, he has a temperament, he has a temper. He has some issues. Yeah, I don't like the way. These are all sentences. Whether you say it, whether you say it indirectly, you haven't even said anything about this brother. This brother, I went to his home. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Your astaghfirullah is a ghiba right now. What is it indicating? You saw something evil in their home. And indirectly, Aisha radiallahu anha, she said one time, I told Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how much time do we have?
8 minutes.
Okay. Aisha radiallahu anha, she once told Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hasbuka min Safiyati kada wa kada, that your wife Safiya radiallahu anha is short in height. And just one word, kada wa kada, that's it. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, this word is so poisonous, it is so toxic. If it were to be mixed in the 7 oceans, لَمَزَجَتْهُ, it would have made them bitter and toxic and full of poison. One word. One word. And we go on saying sentences after sentences. Hearing ghiba. If you are hearing the ghiba of your brother or sister, you are just like the one who is doing it. And Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, he said, since I read and heard the hadith of ghiba, 40 years have passed, I have not done ghiba. And if I have anything to say and have confidence that on the day of judgment, Allah will not question me about anything, it will be ghiba, He will not question me about it. He said, I'm so sure about it. So my dear respected brothers and sisters, if anything you can take from today's lesson, please get rid of ghiba. Go to your homes, tell your wife, today in our bedroom, we're not going to discuss a third person. And if we are going to, we will imagine if he or she is sitting and standing there, and see how you then change your words. You will automatically change the way you talk about that person. Just imagine, before you speak about a third person, he or she is standing or sitting there. Watch how your tone will change. Tell your children, if I hear ghiba, I will stop you. If you hear me say anything evil, I'm angry, I'm upset, tell me, Dad, this is ghiba, please stop. One home. Can there be one home in this community, in this entire country, that the angels of the heavens can give witness that this home is free from ghiba? This family does not do ghiba. Their tongues are pure from ghiba, from backbiting. You make fun of their car, their home, their dress, the way they talk, the way they look. Indirectly, directly, it's all comes under ghiba. Stop right there. But when is it permissible is when you have to give an account to a mufti about your entire problem, that this is what happened, you have to be clear, state the facts. You cannot hide anything. Or when someone comes to you that, hey, I'm proposing to this family, do you know them? Then you have to speak the truth. You have to tell them about their pros and cons, their evil and good. At that time you cannot say, well, it's ghiba, I cannot speak about it. You have to. Right? And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if I were to be given this entire world and the wealth that is within it, I would not have made or copied someone Today we copy the way people talk. What are comedians doing? That's exactly what they're doing. Copy the way someone talks, the way they walk, their accent. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, even if the entire world was given to me, I would not do that. Ma hakaytu insan, and I would not have made fun or copied a person. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do not backbite one another. أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ. Would you, one of you, love to eat the dead body of your blood brother? Maytan is hal in the Arabic language. It literally means that if the dead body of your brother were to be placed before you, would you eat from that? And if you did, how abhorred that act would be in your eyes. Tawbah al-iyadu billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it's ghiba is worse than that. It's so disgusting. Ashaddu min az-zina. In a hadith, it's worse than adultery and fornication. I cannot stress this enough, my dear brothers and sisters. If I had to talk just on this topic, I would.
Time to azan, the questions.
Inshallah. Just finish. Wattaqullah, and fear Allah, for Allah is the most accepting of tawbah and tawwabur rahim, and He's the most merciful. In the next session, it will be our last class for Surah Al-Hujurat, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas. He addresses the entire mankind with a global message. And inshallah ta'ala, we will go over that in our last class of Surah Al-Hujurat. Yes, please quickly, any questions?
Anybody ask any questions?
Jazakumullah khair.